What's up, guys? Vince right here, aka Bboy Vinzel from the LGBT Breakers, a crew that I made up basically. But it's something that is one day to hope to be a dream of mine to actually create that and one day be something in the future. But here I am, not knowing how to make that happen. A lot of times when I do these B-Boy talks, when I really think about this second channel, I mean, my other channel is doing fine. It's, gaining so many subs and so many views. It's just insane. But I still think about this channel. This second channel, which is about breaking, but also can be about skateboarding and stuff like that. And I don't know where to actually, go with it. You know, I feel like when I was doing interviews, when I was, going to other events and stuff, that was a dream. That was something big. And, here I am wishing that would happen again. But having an event here in the Bay Area is very expensive. And I don't know how to really at all make that a reality again, knowing, how much, especially the lack of money I have and how much that I tend to fear of actually going places and because of financial benefits and stuff. But I don't know. There's just something in the back of my head where I wanna the things that I want to do. I want to make it happen, and that's connecting. One day interviewing b boys and b girls again, doing these short interviews like I did with b-boy Arc and Gravity. I miss that. And I know b-boy events and going to these kind of events at all, it's been a dream of mine, but it's also something that I know I really can't, I'm not capable of. It's because that's not really how my life is built, because I don't have sponsors, I don't have any of the resources, I don't have the events that I, or the money or anything like that. And I'm just really thinking about, and the reason why I think about this is because, as I'm 27, I'm thinking about my life, and then I'm just like, pretty much going through my life. Uh, as I get older, what am I really doing? All the dreams that I dream of having, or dream of doing someday, should be happening now. And that's what I'm kind of focusing on this year, is to make these dreams happen. One day having my channel and have the ad revenue from my other channel, the main channel, and also rebuilding this channel and making it something big, doing these b-boy commentaries again, or just making breaking content, or even one day competing. But I don't know where I'm with that. And basically it all started with this press conference with the Break X. By the way, shout out to Zeku winning Break X. Also, it was pay-per-view. I pretty much didn't really. I wish I would check it out, but then I saw pay-per-view. I was like, "What? Are you serious? Like, when are they gonna upload the battles on the YouTube channel? When is that gonna happen?" And of course, it's at NASA again. It has high spectacles, with all the sponsors. By the way, is it really sponsored by Canes? If so, that is dope. The fact that like Jack in the Box sponsor like another B-Boy event, 7-Eleven like is sponsoring the future Red Bull BC1, and also this sponsored by Canes. Good to have food, actual like like as Lee says, restaurants, because any event can have like food within it. But knowing stuff that I like, especially Jack in the Box and Raising Cane's, the places I eat, yeah, I get it. It's not healthy, but it's freaking good. I had like Jack in the Box. That's what I had for dinner. They're like popcorn chicken. It was hefty. It was good, but it was hefty. And these were small chicken nugget things that Jack in the Box had. But man, I had 3 bites, 3 pieces, and it felt like a lot. Jeez, but it was so good. It was filling. But yeah, shout out to Canes actually. Yeah, I thought they were sponsored by Canes because like an esports center was sponsored by Canes, and they were doing a performance with them. The Outbreak, or I mean, no, sorry, the basically have Coro and his crew doing that, or Monster Energy, doing raising collaborate Raising Canes over like a esports event or something, and then I guess they're Raising Canes was like, yeah, why not? We can join BreakX. We can join your event. Why not? And pretty much that happened. But again, it's pay-per-view, and I kind of wish this whole pay-per-view would stop. You know, Maybe if in the prelim battles, that would be dope. But when it comes to the later on battles, like like what is it? The quarterfinals or the semifinals, then make it pay-per-view. You know, I guess that would be a smart move in a way. We would just check out the prelim battles for free, and later on battles, we would get to the quarterfinals, and you got to pay a little bit, or even maybe, as I prefer, the semifinals, and you got to pay to actually see that, a little sneak peek. But it is what it is, and I don't know how they got to really make that money. I don't really see a lot of views or anything like that, but they're growing, and the culture is growing, so that's dope. But the press conference, man, that was emotional. That was, it wasn't emotional, but the silence was loud because it really was a lot of like talks. But you can tell that they were in their mind and they were looking out in the crowd and they were like, "Whoa, we actually made it." At least that's what it feels like, and it was an amazing press conference. I love it when b-boys and b-girls, or at least in b-boy events, do press conference, just to give you what's in their mind or what they're sharing. And I know what kind of like, system or kind of like look they're going for with Break Free when it comes to these kind of like press conference and sponsors and how it's set up in the freaking pay-per-view. We get it. You're trying to be the new MMA. But at the same time, in breaking, it's kind of like a bit more helpful knowing like what's really in their mind, like what they've been through. Like there were stories that from B-Boy Bowsley, shouts to him, that I did not know that he went through. I didn't know his story, but we got a little bit of story of like where he came from and how he was raised, and especially for Castrito, and how hard his life is in Mexico, and also like how he admits to that, and also the other b-boys and b-girls, how they share their life, and how they all realize like where they at. It is a beautiful thing, and I look at that, and all of them were so humble. They didn't look at each other like, "Oh, I'm gonna smoke you," or something like that. No, it was just a bunch of humble, and it's something that you just can't be a savage, unless you want to be. But it's just that if I couldn't be a savage like that at all, knowing that I just feel like I would be blessed, and I'm just imagining myself on that panel, on that press conference, and just telling them like I never thought I would be here, but of course here I am in my bedroom actually just talking about this, and just having decisions after decisions, just thinking like should I ever go out there in terms of breaking? Should I really put my money out, spend a certain amount of money just to go to these events? There's a bunch of events I want to go to, especially for the many gaming and anime conventions that are coming up. But when it comes to these breaking events, I really do want to participate. I really do want to go and like check out the merch, check out the boot, what they have, and also see the b-boys and b-girls, actually get an interview, talk to them, and learn from them. And I feel like as a student of breaking, or at least a b-boy itself, and also me being a fan of the culture, that's important. So that's why I'm really thinking of doing these interviews again via Zoom, which is going to be interesting. I don't know if it's me trying to ask them, because here's the thing. I can ask any b-boy and b-girl, via DM, "Yo, you want to do an interview or something?" But I'm going to do it in a different way, where I'm just going to like, I'm going to really practice somehow. And that's why I have my boy Stefan when we do the podcast thing. And I really want to put that, yeah, there's a lot of build up to it. There's a lot of stuff that I have to get done in order if I want to actually, do interviews. And I feel like I should do that, like, this week right now, because, life, time flies. I don't know. It's just in my head. That's what I feel like. So anyways, yeah, welcome to B-Boy Talk, where I talk about stuff in the news. I was going to plan to do the whole headlines, because I know some of you guys are just like, yeah, whatever, talking about breaking news and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't even watch these videos at all. So again, I'm putting myself out there. But yeah, let's just talk about some couple things. Hopefully making this short will actually bring a certain amount of views for people actually to check it out. I don't know, it could be the other way around. But I want to talk about some of my opinions and also stuff surrounding breaking. One day I do want to make more different content surrounding breaking, because it's the sport that I love and I've been doing for years, and the one sport that I developed myself to actually try to be bigger and better. So to talk about B-Boy Shigekix, Japan, uh, black market crew. Pretty much he did a performance, and yeah, this is about the X Games. As you see in the thumbnail, I guess. Um, he was doing a performance somewhat, but then I saw the picture. For a minute, I thought, wait a minute, is breaking actually in the X Games? Because at some point, like there was a time, like few years ago, where especially when it comes to Olympics, when it comes to Nike, when it comes to the overall view of breaking and where it's at, I just predict those things, and they happen. They literally just happened this year. With Jilu and in Nike with the billboard ad, and also the Own the Floor campaign, and Sunny being a new part of Adidas, being sponsored, and also like especially the BreakX, with the amount of sponsors they have, and also like especially the Olympics and how that's really coming up out there. How breaking is sort of just in some ways is getting more bigger and better, and it could be like in some cases more trendier than any other sports out there that is just growing fast. So when I saw this with breaking into X Games, or at least Shigekix doing I think a flare or something in the X Games, because X Games is having their event in Japan, out of all places, that they decided to have it in freaking Japan. I'm like, are they trying to follow up like the Tokyo 2020 thing? Because that was terrible. Okay, for this event, I guess X Games, when it comes to the skateboarding and also the BMX, has to be way better than the skateboarding BMX in the Olympics, because at least this one is a bit more open. It's on freaking YouTube. You can watch it easily. There's people around, and also it's a bit more entertaining as well. There's some moments in the X Games where like, wow, because I'm also a skateboarder, and also I was checking out the skateboard team, and also checking out the other sports like the Moto X and the BMX, and also like different extreme sports. And there was this picture in Shigekic's story time where he was doing a flare at the X Games. And for a minute, I'm like, they even reference breaking. I believe that, who is it? Jack Matar, I forget, I don't know his last name, but it was Jack something, that he was the host of the X Games, and he was sharing about the BMX Flatland. And if anything, BMX Flatland is kind of in some ways like B-Boy. It's kind of like, breaking, but on a bike. That's the way I put it. It's a dance, but on a bike. That if I got to be honest, and you're spinning and doing all these tricks and stuff like that, it's Flatland. And I remember seeing that, and I literally thought as he was Jack. It was when Jack was talking and hosting and doing what he does, and he explains what Flatland is, and he said it's like break dance, and I'm like, oh, there it is, and I thought that was going to be the only reference, but I didn't know Shigekix was actually going to do a flare there, going to be at the X Games. And I get this weird feeling like, could breaking be in the X Games soon? Could that be somewhat like a reveal or announcement, all thanks to Shigekix? I swear, the Japanese B-boys and B-girls always try to really push breaking somewhere that I never thought. Like, even Shigekix was the first one to be sponsored by Champions, which was crazy. And yeah, I saw that, and that was like, whoa, that's insane. So that was part of the news. And also Puma, another, getting to some news number 2, which is Puma actually put it out, a break documentary of Brazil. And these were crew names that I never heard of, but it was also taking place in the days of when breaking was really popular. And there happens to be some crews, Bboy crews, that in sort of ways mirrors like Rocksteady or Dynamics crew back in New York in the 80s. And these were like, in some ways like a Brazilian version of that. And I saw, the documentary, just half of it. It was interesting how they really show their history, it's always pushes back, pretty much Puma always has like, at least some place in breaking, or they are in some ways are like the go-to gear, And I kind of, even though Pumas is like a big brand, they focus on a bunch of other stuff, At one point, every single, because I saw Planet B-Boy in the Battle of the Year event was sponsored by Pumas. And there's a bunch of events sponsored by Pumas back in like around the 2000 in 10 to 2015 era, where it was like Pumas after Pumas. There's a Pumas event here, there's a Pumas event there, there's another B-boy event. Guess what? Sponsored by Pumas, or Red Bull. And it just was so common. So I don't know, could Pumas be coming with a comeback? I remember that collaboration with Ill Villains. I thought that was a comeback, but no one knows. And also, news number, I wouldn't say this is news. I saw this like in at least in my story time, because most of these are basically surrounding my story time, was Sunny. So Bboy Sunny, Adidas newest athlete, and also B-boy that likes to spin, the Beyblade, the UK Blade. Happens to be, with Ruggeds, and also with Jilu and Shinshan, and also Mad Max. Out of, Mad Max and Shaman. I always get Shaman and Mighty Jim, confused. I know Mighty Jim, when I saw him at the Beast One, he lost his dreads. I'm like, dude, why would you do that? Now he's having like, this Nigel effect where he's, pretty much, now he doesn't have dreads anymore. Oh snap, there goes Mighty Jim. But it just seems like, I get those two confused, I don't know about Shaman. Shaman's not really my cup of tea. He's dope, but I don't really care much unless he has a big sponsor. Like, I'm just still, that's when I really start talking about him, as anything else in breaking. It's always sponsor related. But yeah, I don't know what he's doing with them. I guess they're hanging out and stuff. I thought they were going to battle as a crew or whatever. Like, I feel like something's going on. I don't know. But it was dope to see that. Also, other news surrounding, pretty much I have a bonus here, but I'm going to share that later. Let's talk about Jay Park's showdown. So pretty much Jay Park actually put out a show, and I feel like in major, in mainstream TV in Korea, breaking happens to be normalized, I guess, and to be the go-to sport. It's because that pretty much, especially when Jay Park's new show called Showdown, or I guess there's another name for it, but for me, I think that called Showdown. It's not really available here in the US. It's more towards in Korean audiences. You couldn't really watch it if you live in the US. I don't know about other countries, but here in the US, I try to watch some of the videos in their Korean channel in YouTube. Couldn't watch it because apparently it's not available in the US. So I gotta watch it through like Instagram, or that's the only way to actually check it out. And pretty much it's they have all these legendary crews, and that's dope. And I always knew Jay Park was a B-boy. And Jay Park not only being the best, kind of like, one of the best rap, kind of like basically the Korean Jay-Z, Jay Park Jay-Z. And he just happens to really show breaking in such a heavy light where I never seen it before. But in Korea, give it a platform. And I was like, finally, I know there's many platforms that Korea has given breaking in that, sense. Like, I think there was, previous platforms of battles and talent shows with B-boys and B-girls, and also, the list goes on. But when it comes down to this happens to be showing a different light, that it's a base, it's for B-boys, for B-girls and B-boys, and pretty much that's what it's towards to. At least that's what I see it. Especially seeing Rivers crew in there, Gamblers in their Olympic showcase. That was dope. Also the Flow XL was there with Hong Ten. It's funny to see Hong Ten sponsor Red Bull getting covered. They're not allowed to show that in mainstream TV, I guess. So you have like Red Bull, but it's all plastered in a different color and a different light, and looks weird. And he's wearing his headband still. And also Physics. B-Boy Physics was there. So B-Boy, Hong Ten, and Physics was there. I guess they're trying to set up a battle, because those are like the two goats of, in Korea when it comes to B-boy. Athletically and, basically the Korean, like, Michael Jordan, and also Hong Ten being the Korean LeBron James, as I like to put it. Maybe I'm giving too much of their praise, but, that's what I see them as, okay? Hong Ten is a legend. I don't know how old he is, but he's a freaking legend. It's like he never aged, He's like, and Physics still got that strength. There's just something about him that just really rings true hip-hop culture of Korea. It's just something that I usually never seen at all in Korea ever. But when, Physics really put that out there, he just all of a sudden became like the Eminem of Korea. Like, I just see him. Like, I couldn't help it but see him wear that, Nike, sweatsuit or something, or, Nike gear, and also a headband, beanie, and him doing the flag freeze or whatever, it just really rings like true essence of her hip hop of Korea, brings back like, back in the 90s style or something. But it was just dope to see that. That was dope. Now moving on to my favorite brand, my favorite sneaker brand. Yeah, you got Adidas and Nike and New Balance and yada yada. Saucony, shout out to Break Free, but Saucony, I can't find that anywhere here. You think I could find some Sauconys around? No, we're gonna talk about Vans. Vans, my favorite shoe to break on, my favorite shoe to skate on, and also, yeah, Vans is going big with their announcements about, the upcoming event that I literally am really thinking of going, because they say it's a free event and I'm really thinking of going. I really am trying. I got to think how to get there because it's going to be expensive. Look, gas prices, don't get me started on gas prices. And going down to LA, that's a different story, okay? I don't know if I have to take a flight or whatever, but I really got to think about it. I really am going to think about, like, how can I get down there to this free event that Vans is showing at the Vans headquarters. That is crazy. My favorite shoe to skateboard on, and also they're sponsoring Bboys. Like, that's insane, Parkour people are still waiting for a sponsor by Vans due to how many of them uses ultra range shoes. But yeah, it just, it feels like, B-Boys, breaking is at that point where, you can even give a shout out to any sneaker sponsor, even, the smaller ones. And just like that, they'll have your back. Never thought that Vans would be the one, sneaker sponsor, especially here in the US, that actually would sponsor Rock Force. That is, to me, insane. Okay, so, and of course, I see Ice to Eyes with the Vans collection. You got D-Mac, the big guy from Rock Forest. He even has his own Vans shoe. I freaking saw the story time. And also, yeah, you got Tahoe and also Germs. They Vans flew them out for their first ever flight to France. I never thought that would happen, and you see Tahoe, saying that I'm about to bring that, North Carolina barbecue up to France. And I was like, damn, this is dope. And Germs, I never seen him travel before. I never see him, like, seriously, Shout out to Isaac Ives. Actually, he's been traveling to a bunch of places up there. But with his crew and everything, that has to be a surprise for Tahoe and Germs. I never really, I don't know if I never seen them traveled or anything like that, but, yeah, I guess that really shows that, in a way that this is something big that they're, really showing. And, I just like that, And also, like, moving on to news here. Let's get into Adidas. Speaking of sneakers, let's get into good old Adidas, which, I have a good amount. But it's just that, I don't know. I don't really use them much at all, especially these Stan Smiths that I have for my birthday. Like, those are painful to wear, I'll be honest. But the other shoes are dope. It's just that, some Adidas work, some don't. And, it's just like, it's a freaking big company, okay? So Adidas, Paris, because, B-Girl Carlota was part of, like, Adidas and Paris and in collaboration with Hip Hop Target. I think that's what it's called. As well as being featured in TikTok. And I was just, this is this video that's showcasing these dancers, and especially B-Girl Carlota, because, she's like the main queen piece, that really dominates all due to how she's part of the Olympic team. And yeah, she's killing it over there. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have to bring. Anything else news related or something that is not related at all? I really do want to bring this one big, huge talk about these 3 events that happened at the same day last week. So, gotta get my vocals warmed up for this. Red Bull BC1 Austria just had their qualifications, and it's sponsored by Champions. I'm like, well, finally, okay, Champions in some ways was really adaptive in the dance culture here and there, or not really, they're, good clothing brand and whatever. It's good to see Champions at some point sort of like paying attention, at least, I'm sorry. But yeah, BC1 Austria. And the moment I keep saying Austria, I always keep thinking about Morocco, because Lil Zoo and Wolfer are just the guys that are living in Austria, that are residents there, and represent, Austria in some ways. But also, they keep winning all these freaking events. Like, like, I swear, Liver King Zoo, like, which is the crew of that Wolfer and Lil Zoo is part of. And in some cases, they're like brothers and also they're from Morocco. I can't help but thinking, like, man, they are winning too much. They're not giving the actual Austrians any chances. Like, come on, just giving him a chance. Lil Zoo, like, he can just go to any event and just win automatically. Automatically, okay? Now, of course, going to BC1 will be another story. But still, like going to this BC1 in Austria for the qualifications, I'm like, that's so unfair. Like, man, I thought Heinemite. Heinemite was there. Heinemite is an interesting B-boy, I would have to say, when I first saw him. He's just so goofy and loosey and everything. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. That's what I see him as. That's in my opinion. He's dope. I just see him so loose. Like, why are you so loose, man? Like, I swear, if I was his boy, I would actually literally force him to. I would have him feel like I would just bring like 4 pizzas on purpose. Like, Heinemite, you gotta eat, bro. You looking real skinny, boy. You gotta eat. You better eat. Okay? The amount of foods I would buy him if we were friends. Anyways, Heinemite was there. He was dope. And I guess that's the only highlight, B-Boy. I mean, pretty much, of course, the Wolfer was there. Is he sponsored by Champions? I swear to God, he should be. Okay, especially for Lil Zoo. We want that. And also, shout out to Roxy for hosting the event. I don't know who the other B-Boy is, but, the other host. But, yeah, Roxy was there. I love her attitude, okay? She just brings that spunk. Oh, man. I swear. But yeah, that's one of the events. And also another event, which is actually the biggest one here in the U.S., apparently. And I'm going to get into that. Big Apple Regionals by Snipes USA. First off, what is so big about Snipes? You got events sponsored by Nike. You got events about, sponsored by Red Bull and, Monster Energy and all the energy drinks in the world, I guess. And you got some events, that are, especially sponsored by, different amounts of different sponsorships and stuff like that. I guess this happens to be the biggest one when it comes to here in the U.S., Look, what, is it bigger than Vans? Because I'm still waiting for that Vans event. That's going to be an interesting watch, okay? But for this one, this happens to be sponsored by Snipes USA, and they're just making it like the biggest deal of all time, saying that this is the full essence of hip-hop in America and stuff. Like, first off, maybe it is. Maybe Snipes hits different here for Americans, but in Europe, they were sponsored by Snipes like for the longest time, where it's just the Boo or Battle of the Year, which is, of course, the biggest one, and they're sponsored by Snipes. And I'm trying to think, why is it such a big deal in the US to be sponsored by Snipes? I'm trying to see the correlation of that, or maybe it's because it's their only sponsor, okay? I know they have other sponsors like Silverback and, Pro Breaking Tour or whatever, this and that, and of course the U.S. organization for Olympic coverage. But, like, for Snipes, I guess they treat that like a big deal. I guess it's a big deal, Other than that, Gravity also killed it. He's always killing. Never invite a Gravity in your jam because he's got to win. You better be ready for the money that you're about to give Gravity. If you ever get, set up an event and invite Gravity, you better have that money, okay, for him, because he's going to win. He's going to win regardless. And I think he said, like, my time is expensive or something like that. I don't know. I had to ask him for the actual, like, what he said. But, Gravity win. Gravity took it, and of course, I guess we see the same B girls there, the U.S. qualifications like Snap, Pepsi, and also Lavix. How many times I keep saying Lavix? The kids was interesting. The kids, I usually don't see the kids at all. I saw Notorious Nick, and he was dope. I never seen this B-boy before. And of course, Kid Break was killing it as well. I want to talk about some battle in the B-girl event, and this is where my opinionation goes to. And this is sort of like the part where the reason why not a lot of people shouldn't watch this. I gotta give a real honest talk about Kanatsu, okay? I'm sorry, I gotta call Kanatsu out. Not call her out because she would smoke me, but I gotta be honest. Like, Kanatsu, here's my opinion of Kanatsu, and this is something I've been wanting to do for every B-boy and B-girl, give my opinions on them, but of course, that means I would start beef. But even, no matter how many times I would show love, like no offense, Gravity, but but I love Gravity, and he's still gonna smoke me regardless, okay? He's be like, I heard you talking about me, Vince, like, what's up? I'm like, don't hurt me, don't smoke me, man, don't, like, I will be smoked regardless, okay? The same thing here with Kanatsu. And shout out to Kanatsu, she was dope. Man, what is up with these waitings? Okay, you gotta spin the ball somehow. You gotta really, keep the moving, okay? And it did not. They did not. That battle with Sonny, sorry, not Sonny, Sunny. Okay, not B-boy Sunny, B-girl Sunny. Okay, B-girl Sunny, uh, from New York versus Kanatsu from Japan. Slash, and this is what the host got wrong. Okay, I'm calling you out, host too as well. What's up? The host said from Japan. No, she's also from Canada. She wouldn't be, competing if she wasn't really from Canada or US, because that's really what the competition is. Okay. But Kanatsu, like, pretty much was just waiting. She was like in some cases nervous. Like, I always see her as like the, I don't know, somewhat of a nervous type, but also very cutesy and adorable type. And listen, I love Kanatsu. Love to see her rise. The fact that she got sponsored by Nike is insane to me. But that waiting, what was that waiting for? Like, someone has to go out. Someone has to go in. Oh, come on already, okay? I'm sorry. I just had to really put it out there. But, like, seriously, I was seeing that. I was like, what? Why are we still doing this waiting thing? Either two of them really, really, really wanted to win just to get their strategy across and not to screw up, and, pretty much they don't want to go last at all. I just don't know, when does this ever end? Like, whoever comes last, whatever happened to whoever comes last is the one to go first. Whatever happened to that? I don't know. I saw that. I was like, ah. And I saw Kanatsu. I saw her, the familiar hat, the red, I know what she looks like. I was like, oh man, I can't wait to ask her that question. I probably won't remember it. But still, I saw that, Sunny versus Kanatsu. And you have the host saying like, oh, you go first, making fun and all that. Anyways, moving on from that event, let's go to the last one, which is the Olympic event of Cabrals. I think that's what it's called. Which is called, like, Cabrals WDSF, which features Potter Ski B-Boy from, and also a bunch of B-Boys from Spain, as well as a amalgamation of B-Boys from Italy. How many freaking Italian B-Boys are in this? Like, they're really dominating Cabrals, Is this an event in Spain? I guess they just decided to come in easily, I don't know how the visa works, but yeah, the dope event. Pretty clean itself. It feels like it's a bar, which is most of like one of WDSF, events when it comes down to Europe. All the events there, like even Sochi, like it feels like it's from a ballroom, like, event itself. And they just happen to put it there and lay it out. This was kind of dope. I would have to say, very clean. I was really cheering on for, Parsky, but, of course, he really didn't win. But yeah, I wanted the Spain B-Boys win. Like, you have like Sack there. I saw his interview from Stance. That was, dope. And it really shows of how he moves. Like, he's not playing around, Mini Joe, it's good to see him. Like, there's something about Mini Joe that is so satisfying to watch. The way he's like he's like the, what is it? The Latino Super Mario. He just jumps around and he just like, whoop, hop, just all over the place, especially with his style and everything. And he's a very like boom bap style B-boy, at least the way I see him as, and also the many amounts of B-boys, but I would be here for a while if I talked about all of them. Other than that, I also want to talk about a bonus, yeah, you've never seen this before, right? A bonus topic, which is basically me talking about something that is not related to breaking, but related to other sports that is somewhat and especially smaller than breaking. So there's this new sport, as I call it new sport, because what isn't a new sport? I'm just kidding. People say breaking is still a new sport. I guess that's somewhat true. I don't really know. It's been out here for years, basically. It's just been called a sport recently. So if you would call it a new sport, then I guess that makes sense. But there's a new sport out there that I've been keeping my eye on. And it's something that I really wasn't prepared to actually talk about at all in this video. And it's basically called tricking. And before, some of you like, whoa, Vince, what are you saying right now? Listen, I actually spoke to a friend when I was at a party. I told him, like, yo, this thing called tricking is pretty cool. And he gave me a certain look, okay? The rest of the table gave me a certain look. And he told me, like, well, okay, tricking, you're talking about the, I'm like, oh my, wait. And I Googled it because apparently tricking, like, thanks a lot, Too Short, freaking, God, your rap songs, man. I don't even care if I'm the Bay Area. I'm going to talk whatever I want to talk, okay? Freaking Too Short. I haven't even listened to his music at all. But he basically turned the word tricking as pimping. I'm like, That is not what I freaking mean when I say tricking, okay? I feel bad for that sport. The fact that breaking means a lot of things, okay? Breaking your glass, breaking your tables, breaking these bars. But, breaking also means b-boying, means like the sport of break dancing, In some cases, it's okay if anyone calls it break dancing. At least we get a clarification what it means. But tricking, oh man, there's two terms. One term that you don't want to go to, and the other term which actually means the freaking sport. And I kind of feel bad for that. A lot of times when I look at tricking, I feel bad for the lack of sponsors, lack of support, and especially for this event in Adrenaline in Mandalay Bay. And for some reason, that's a big deal. Mandalay Bay that they're in. Like, I guess that's the biggest achievement they have. In all honesty, I'm going to be honest, like, Adrenaline, tricking is an event that they call themselves like the Xgames of like martial arts, like, tricking. They have like, weaponry practice and also like Kung Fu and stuff like that. Just anything involving that genre, and breaking is not really in any of those because breaking is in a better place. They don't need adrenaline, and I feel like adrenaline needs breaking more than breaking needs adrenaline, or in that category. And I guarantee you, no one even ever heard about adrenaline tricking at all if I ever shared them, or even the term tricking, because tricking is basically you doing flips. Doing an all flips is just flipping around, flipping this, but it's also interesting how they really carry themselves as a sport and how they really motivate each other talking about it. There's many, like this one person mastering tricking is an analyzer of tricking and also tricking events, and especially as jam movement. The same thing I'm doing when it comes to these b-boy events when I'm talking about them, but of course I don't get the attention at all. But when I see, these other people talking about tricking and what they, that share the news, I would bring up like, hey, sponsorships and stuff like that, the Olympics, and they're like, yo, man, what, and especially mastering tricking. When I was speaking to him when he was doing his Twitch streams, he would always say like, if you know a guy, I'm like, I that is so annoying, but okay, I understand. If you think I have connections to Vans and I was asking you like, yo, what, imagine Vans was actually part of tricking. It was like, hey man, if you know a guy, I'm like, okay. It's so funny. But at the same time, I don't blame him because, a lot of times you need connections. People like, if I know a person that knows a person that knows a person that actually, is sponsored by Red Bull, then I would ask them for like, hey, okay, can Red Bull support this channel in some way, sir? Another, sir, chance, hello. I guess not, but it's just like still one of those situations in some ways. And that's why, would this be the new upcoming, the same thing that the term of breaking is going towards for? Because they are familiar with that. And also, of course, familiar with, skateboarding going to the Olympics. But also in some ways, I look at, tricking as like it's somewhere going at that, level. At least how I see it as. Because, tricking is such a small sport. But it's so interesting looking at it because it made me, at least, in some ways, actually made me, more happy to be part of breaking. Something that is already growing. Something that is going to be on top. And something that tricking, in some ways, dreams of going there. And I'm not talking about tricking pimping, okay? I'm freaking too sure made that term. Why he do that? Why do rappers really make, can you imagine, I swear, certain names and they just turn it to a crack or pimping and something prerogative, and it's just like, you can't even use the word no more. I'm like, I'm still going to call it tricking because that's what the sport is, but I guarantee you, there's either two people, okay? One that are like, what the hell is tricking? What the hell is that? And another term of it, and they're gonna think like, whoa, dude, I'm not part of your, I don't want to go to jail. I'm like, I'm talking about the sport. I was like, what? That's a sport too? Oh, I don't want to go to jail, dude. Anyways, that's enough of my rants and here and there. But yeah, if you understand what I'm saying, give it a like. Okay, I'm out. Peace.